Hello, welcome back. Or if you happen to be new, my name is Delian. This is the channel, this space where we explore what it takes to really step into being the main character of our own lives, our own story. And that's not necessarily something that's intuitive for all of us. And sometimes we even get trained out of being that way. And one of my favorite tools to be able to get more self-awareness, self-acceptance, and self-authorship, which I view as the three pillars to the foundation of being able to step into being the main character, is astrology. And so today I'm going to field one of the questions that I've gotten from many of you. By the way, thank you everybody who has sent in questions, who has commented. It's so fun to be able to interact with everybody and to hear what you guys are thinking. It makes me so excited. Okay, and also, side note, if you find this channel valuable or interesting, intriguing, and you want to be a part of this, feel free to comment. If you're a new subscriber, say hi. If you want to subscribe, that's also wonderful, or even like the video. That's really cool too. So today I'm going to talk about empty houses in your astrology chart. And one of the things that I hear a lot is whether or not that means that this is an area that doesn't matter in your life. No. Especially, and I know that not all astrologers, most astrologers don't follow astrology the way I do, where I have a specific ruler for each sign. I have just found that to be really clean and actually more effective. It makes more sense to me that there's a ruler for each sign, and that's just me. But even so, chances are you won't have a planet or a ruler in each of these houses in your chart. And so I'm going to explain how I look at empty houses in metaphor terms. So if you've been around, you know that when I look at your chart, what I see is the house of you. And all of the houses in the chart, so all of those pizza slices, I look at as rooms within that house. And I think of your birth chart as an energetic blueprint of you. And so what I'm doing when I look at your chart, I'm seeing the layout of your house. You have access to all of your house. Whether or not you have a planet the moment of your birth that aligns in that house or in that room. And so let's say that you have an empty house. I have many. I think I have like 4 empty houses in my chart. And you're like, okay, so let's look at this person. I have a chart up that I'm just going to use as a reference for me. This person has nothing in their first house. The first house of identity, the first house of like who you are, the spark of life. However, that house, and I'm going to use the word house and room interchangeably. I will work on it. But this first house, this first room, it predominantly lines up in Leo. Now you may use a whole house chart. I don't. I like the nuance that I get. So for instance, in my chart, many of my rooms, my houses, don't perfectly align in just one sign. I actually have many of them that are like, it starts in Cancer and it ends in Leo. And what I do when I look at that is I see the design of the room being very Cancer and Leo-esque as a metaphor. However, I will likely think, I will look and see the predominance of that room. So let's just say that you have a house that lines up predominantly in Scorpio, in the sign of Scorpio. And if any of this is confusing, I have done a video where I walk through a chart and just show you like what all of the different parts of the chart mean and have like some visuals that go along with the language. What was I saying? Oh, yes. So let's just say that your room lines up predominantly in Scorpio. And let's just say that it's the 6th room. and there's nothing in it. And it lines up predominantly in Scorpio with a little bit of Sagittarius. The way I would see this is that your sixth room is the room of health, of wellness, of your physical body. And that's still a part of the house. This is still a part of this energetic blueprint of you. And it's going to show up in very Scorpio ways with a little bit of a Sagittarius vibe. So what could this mean? What would I look at for this person? Okay, I would be like, okay, in terms of your physical body and how you want to take care of your body is going to overlap with some Scorpio energy. So taking care of your body might be very inspired or influenced by psychology, by really understanding the depths of yourself. It could be even inspired by understanding the connection between your body and your mind and how all of that kind of works together. It could be based on even wanting to feel powerful, because I think Scorpio likes to feel really powerful, and connecting that to how you approach your own body. I also do style videos, style readings with your chart. And if you were a person who had the sixth house lining up with Scorpio, I might think that you had either an ethereal or romantic body type with some natural influence. Again, it would depend on a lot of other things going on in your chart, but that might be something that would ping for me. So, okay. Another thing that I do when I'm reading an empty house is that I look at the ruler of that house. So the ruler I look at for the sixth house is Chiron. And so, okay, I see this person's sixth house is empty, but I'm going to go look and see where the Chiron part of them exists in their chart. And I'm just going to look and see where this person says. This person's Chiron is in the second house and in Virgo. Well, I'd be like, okay, so there's still some overlap here. The Chiron shows up in this person's life in still a very Virgo way. It's still going to be very connected to their body. And I might say that the way that I think about it metaphorically is that the place it hangs out in all day long, the Chiron part of you, the lessons it's here to learn, is very Virgo second house qualities. However, it still is going to go sleep in its room or something like that. Like there's still all of its stuff is still over in that sixth house. And so those are the sorts that I think about it in storytelling terms. All of these planets are parts of you, and their natural home is, you can find their house and their sign. And you can get this idea of how those parts might show up based on where they are in their chart. So let's just go to another person or another example. I have a chart up here that has the first house, the first room is empty. That's the room of identity, of your spark of life. It is entirely lined up in the sign of Leo. Okay, so it's a very Leo-esque identity. And I will go look at their sun sign. I'll go look at their sun sign and I'll go, okay, the way that they might express their identity is based in the sun in Gemini in the 11th house. And I'll delve further into that. And so if somebody was like, hey, how am I supposed to show up and be in alignment with this spark of life? I'm going to look. If their first house is in Leo, I'm going to go check out their sun sign. And I'm also going to check out their Mars. Because essentially, the planets are doing business and work and all of these other parts, but it's still related to that house and sign that they belong in. And this is why when I'm doing a reading, all of this information is intertwined. It weaves a story of you. And that's why there's a lot of nuance. There's a lot of being able to delve in and be able to, this is why I often work in pictures and in that visual of this interior design house of you with all of these parts of you. And I did a video just recently of the planets and what I believe their archetypes are, so that you can have an understanding of how this particular archetype of you shows up in your life. So let's just say, again, this person has an empty first room in Leo. And I'm going to go, and they come to me and they're like, I feel disconnected from my identity. I feel like I don't know how to embrace my ascendant energy, because that's going to be the first house. By the way, an ascendant video will be coming up soon. And so I'll be like, okay, let's sit down. Let's look at your Mars and your Sun in particular. I look at their Mars and I go, okay, your Mars is in Taurus in the 10th house. Have you felt stuck in, how has your energy, Mars energy, how have you been hunting for, because I look at the archetype of Mars as the hunter or the huntress, how have you been hunting for Taurus things, pleasure in life, experiencing the goodness of life in the 10th house? Have you been doing this from a place of authority, of feeling authorship of your own life yourself? Have you been incorporating any of this into your vocation? Because this might be where you get kind of stuck. And then I would talk about their sun sign in Leo, and I'd be like, okay, or their sun sign, which is in Gemini, be like, okay, so you want to bring some of that spark back into your life. We know that you need playfulness. We know that you need to get some creativity. And the way you might do that with this sun sign in Gemini in the 11th house is going to be by getting in, first of all, making sure that you don't have spinning thoughts. A lot of air sign energy is going to be like, okay, make sure that you have some way of being able to process all of the thoughts that are going on inside of you. And also see if there's something you need to be sharing, some creative expression you need to be sharing. And that may show you how to get in touch with that first room, that first house type of energy. So I actually kind of love it when there's an empty house. So for instance, my 6th house is empty. And for a long time, I was like, so I don't have any connection to my physical body or being healthy and stuff. And I'm like, no, that's not true at all. I love both of those things. I do struggle with organization and attention to detail sometime. And that's a sidebar thing. However, I go and I look at my Chiron. I look at my Chiron and I go, okay, what's going on here? And my Chiron is in Cancer in the 4th house. And I have noticed throughout my whole life that when I don't do real work around that wounded part of myself that feels like they don't belong, that they are that they don't know how to nourish themselves emotionally, that they may feel alone emotionally, when I don't do work on those things, guess what happens to my body? I feel sluggish. I like that when I am living in a narrative that is the unhealed Chiron story, my body feels awful. And so I before I even knew astrology, I figured this out, because I would be like working so hard on my health and doing it from a place of this wounded narrative. And I would see either no results or negative results, even if I was doing all of the right things, quote unquote. And now I remember having the realization of, I decided to work on some of this emotional inner work of belonging to myself. And instantly I saw a ton of results. I should remember this because I forget about it all the time. But it's very correlated for me. So if you wanted to know how you might want to approach health or approach organization, maybe look at what's going on in your 6th house. Sure, but what if it's empty? All right, go check out where your Chiron is in your chart and see if there aren't things that your Chiron and how it shows up in your energetic blueprint needs in order to take care of your physical body, take care of your practical needs. It's making me realize right in this moment that oftentimes when I approach organization and detail-oriented work, I usually do it from a wounded narrative around, because it triggers a lot of stuff in me. And I'm like, oh, maybe that's why it's so stressful for me. And maybe I need to do some of that work of being in the healed part of my Chiron so that organization and things like that flow a little bit more easily. I'm going to use one more example. Let's just say that I really wanted to do Pisces. Let's say your 12th house is empty. Okay, so you're disconnected from your 12th house, the house of ideals, of dreams, of your connection to spirituality, of the divine. I used to be really upset my 12th house is empty. Maybe I'm bringing up all the ones that are empty for me. I used to be really upset because I was like, I feel so connected to my 12th house. What's going on? Why is it empty? Does it not matter? So forth and so on. And first thing I would do is I would look at where Neptune is. Okay, the ruler of the 12th house is Neptune. And for me, Neptune is an incredibly strong placement in my chart. And I was like, oh, this is how I want to express my Neptune. This is how my Neptune is here to show up. That's wonderful. It's really great. I also think that sometimes when a house is empty, that some of that energy kind of just flows for you, right? I think that it just means that those are houses that the universe might be like, you know what? Yes, this is still a part of your energetic blueprint. I'm not even talking about like transits and progression charts, because we don't stay the same, and transits are still going to hit all of your house at some point or another. We will have lessons and times of our lives where certain parts of our chart are triggered or being shown a light upon. However, I do think that there's something about empty houses potentially being just a place of reprieve, a place of like, you know what, some of this energy can just kind of flow for you. However, if you really do want to focus on an energy of a certain house that's empty, I often look at the ruler, and I also look at the sign that that particular room, that house is lined up in. So let's just say that for that Pisces house, it's lined up with, spinning the chart, let's do Gemini. Okay, you want to get in touch with your spirituality, your connection to the divine. What are some Gemini things you can incorporate? Do you need to write out some fantasies? Do you need to get with another person and talk about your ideals and talk about what you hope and dream for? And then also look at the other planets that might be in Gemini and say, how could these parts of me support me on that journey of being in contact with my divinity? So these are all things that I would go in great detail in a reading with you about. So if this is of interest to you, definitely feel free to reach out and book a reading. I have different offerings. So if that's interesting, it's so interesting because if I could, I would do them all for free because I love doing readings. It's one of my top favorite things to do in life. So yes, anyway, that'll be in the description. And if you have any questions, definitely let me know. I realize that this is not how all astrologers approach empty houses. And there's lots of information out there of people who do share things that they have found to be really helpful in terms of looking at empty houses. This has just been what I have found to be true in my readings over the past 10 years plus. So, okay. Thanks for sticking around. Thanks for watching this. I really appreciate it. Again, if this was valuable, interesting, if you want to join in on the fun of this channel, please comment, like, subscribe. It's all incredibly valuable for me and also just this community that I really hope that we get to build together. So, all right, I will see you in the next video. Okay, bye.